All right, so welcome to CDIT 151, which is called Infant Toddler Development. So before we go any further, I do have a poll question for you that I'm going to put up on the screen. Just because I want to find out if you have taken the other course that we have, 152, which is also about infants and toddlers. It has a different focus than this one. This class is about development, looking at all the developmental areas from birth to 3 years old. And the other course, 152, is going to focus on the care and education of infants and toddlers. So you don't have to take it in any particular order, but some people choose to take these two courses for what's called a specialization. And let's see, right now we have 13% who have completed 152. 4 of you have not yet, and a few of you are enrolled in 152. Sometimes students take both courses at the same time. So let me end the poll and share the results so we can see. That just helps me know if you've had course or not. So I do teach both of the courses, and I have been teaching these two courses for many, many years now. And you'll learn a little bit about my background when I worked with infants and toddlers in the classroom in the modules along the way. Okay, so thank you for taking that poll. And tonight, what I'm going to be focusing on will be how we're going to use Canvas for this course and look at the syllabus and go over the main assignments that you'll be doing for 151. But before I share my screen, does anyone have a question that they would like to ask before we get started on that? Okay, please know that you can ask questions along the way. You can either type your question in the chat box if you prefer, or at any time, you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask your question or make a comment. So just let me know. So we have, let's see, we have 10 students here tonight, or 9 students along with me. So we have a full class, I think at least 36 to 40 students. So I know that not everyone could come at this time. This is what's considered an asynchronous course. So that means that we don't meet all together every once a week. This is the only time we're coming together as a large group. And then you'll be working on the assignments and activities that I will publish each week within the modules, which I'll show you in shortly. Okay, if you've had a class with me before, you sort of know my style and how I set things up. But if you're new, either to Cerritos or taking me for the first time, this information I hope will be helpful to you. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen and going to Canvas. Okay, so last night I had an orientation for my CD 110 class, and we had all kinds of issues with the connection, but tonight it seems to be going well, so that's very helpful. Okay, some of you I know are joining in right now, so we're just going to Canvas to look at the course within Canvas. So before I go into CDIT 151, I just want to point out this blue bar, and that at the very bottom here is Pronto. Some of you have already gone into Pronto and said hello to us. If you haven't done that yet, when you go through the module, it will ask you to download the app, the Pronto app, and then say hello to us. We will be using Pronto as a way to communicate with each other, and it's also been very helpful, I think, to students, so that they don't always have to wait to come to one of my office hours. If they're working on something and they have a question, they can use Pronto and ask. Hopefully I will see it right away and will respond right away. Sometimes, depending on what time of the day and what day of the week, but I do try to look at my Pronto app quite a bit throughout the semester. So that might be helpful to you. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and go into our course, CDIT 151. I would like to emphasize to you that the class is called Infant Toddler Development. So keep in mind the age range for this course, birth to 3 years old. So you may have already completed other courses in our department, right? Other child development courses. And the focus might have been more on children between 3 and 5 years old. Okay, so keep in mind, especially as we are working on different assignments, that we're looking at the development under 3 years old. Okay, so just I wanted to emphasize that before we start looking at the class. I'm going to click here, and it opens up to what's called the home page. And on the home page, it has some information for you. And some of you may have already gone through this information. Thank you for being patient, because we're going to go through it again. And if you have any questions along the way, please stop me and ask your questions. All right, so homepage. First, we're just welcoming you to Infant Toddler Development. One sentence description of what this class is about. Like I said, we're going to look at the different developmental domains, the developmental areas for infants and toddlers. So social, emotional, physical, cognitive. And there's a little bit about my background here for you to read about. But like I said, as we go through the semester, you'll learn a little bit more about my background and my interest in working with children. And then we have some different ways we'll be communicating. Since we are not meeting together in person or even together on Zoom on a weekly basis, it's still going to be very important that we're communicating with each other and learning from each other. So I have here my email address. That's one way you can contact me. I will have student office hours each week on these 3 days at these times, and you can come to any of them. There will be, on Zoom, there will be a waiting room. So when you click on the link here, then we'll open up to Zoom and we'll put you in a waiting room. So it will be first come, first serve. And sometimes what I have found in the last 2 years that I've been teaching online, that because of Pronto you can get your question answered. And so I have found that less students are coming to my office hours. But sometimes it's really helpful if you do, because I can share my screen and we can go into the assignment in more depth that way. So please remember that that's a possibility to come at that time. And if those days and times don't work for you, just let me know and I will be glad to set up a different day and time to meet with you. All right, so we're having this orientation right now. Here we are. And again, it brings up Pronto as a way that we will communicate. And I've also found that sometimes students will ask a question on Pronto, and before I can even respond, another student will come on and answer the question and help each other. So that's another great way for Pronto to be utilized this semester. If you've never used Pronto in another class, there is more information here in this link. So it's fairly simple. When I first learned about Pronto, I thought, I don't think I'm gonna figure it out. And now I love it and I see that it's very useful. Let me stop for a moment and see if there are any questions so far. Okay, I'm going to keep going, but let me know if there's any questions. Okay, this section here tells you a little bit about grading. You'll be submitting all your activities and assignments on Canvas. Your points that you receive, you'll see on Canvas. And I do try to give feedback on your assignments. So there's a place, once you submit, there's a place for me to put your points and also a comment, so some feedback. And I hope that you will go in and look at the feedback along the way. So it's letting you know that once I receive assignments from the due date, I will be grading what comes in on the due date within 7 days. So I won't be waiting a long time to grade your work. And I do accept late assignments 2 weeks after the due date, but no longer after those 2 weeks. Okay, so you want to make sure you are getting it in on the due date or soon after. I also will allow for revisions. So let's say you turn something in and I take some points off and give you some feedback about why. You can go in and make a revision, fix the part that maybe was missing, and then turn it back in for full credit. Okay, so we do have 2 books that we will be using this semester. This first one is called Infants, Toddlers, and Caregivers by Janet Gonzalez Mena. And believe it or not, when I took my infant toddler courses many, many years ago at a community college, I had the very first edition of this book, and I still have it on my bookshelf here at home. It's looking a little old, but it was a fantastic book. As a student, I loved it so much, and I love how she writes. I can understand what she's saying. And the ideas in this book really helped me when I first started working with very young babies and then worked with toddlers. So I'm hoping that you'll find the book helpful and informative. And then the other book that we'll be reading is called 1, 2, 3, The Toddler Years. This is also a great book. You'll find that it's got short chapters, which you might like. It's got large print, so that to read it goes fairly quickly. But again, it's got very helpful ideas, not only for caregivers and teachers, but also I have found it to be a great book to share with parents that might be struggling with particular behaviors like tantrums and learning to go to the bathroom, and maybe dealing with a new sibling in the home. So it's got some really great topics in the chapters. Okay, again, let me stop for a moment to see if anyone has questions about the books. I'm not sure if you've looked for the books or you've ordered the books. Just know that this book, the main textbook, will be a book that we use in both of the infant toddler classes. So we use it in 151 and we use it in 152. So don't sell it. And well, I would never sell it. I would keep it. If you're going to work with infants and toddlers, I think it's going to be helpful for you to keep it as part of your library. But for sure, if you're deciding to take both courses, then keep it, because you'll need it for the other class. Now, I'm wondering if somebody is saying something in the chat box. Is there anyone that can view the chat box right now?
It's actually on Pronto. Some people are having trouble opening the Zoom meeting. It keeps giving them an access denied situation. The same thing happened with my cousin last night, trying to join your Zoom meeting actually, and downloading the app, and that, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so I said try downloading the app and then try clicking the link to open it, because it worked that way for my cousin yesterday.
Oh, okay. Well,
this is Patty Pavon. I was struggling also with logging in because I was clicking directly on the link that you posted. However, when I just wrote down the Zoom meeting number, I was able to get in, but it took me a while because it keeps kicking me out and giving me an error. So maybe that can be posted on Pronto, says that we just need to write down the number of the meeting and they will be able to get in.
Okay, you're referring to the ID number?
Correct, the ID number of the meeting. If you just give them that number and they type it, they will be able to get in. But if they just click on the Zoom link that you provided us, on the syllabus and on the email, they won't be able to get in. I had trouble doing that too, and that's what I'm late, so I apologize.
It's okay, it's okay, sorry about that. Cynthia, I just think I saw something that, did you put was that the ID number you put in there?
Yes, I just put it on the text for everybody.
Oh, Cynthia, thank you so much.
They also need the password. I also sent a picture of the password and the, how to call it?
There's no password. When I entered it, it didn't ask me for a password.
Yeah, they didn't.
It asks you if you are input in the numbers. Actually, if you're inputting the numbers, over here has it, and it has a password.
Oh, okay.
All right.
It would require a
password to log in.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you to everyone for helping everyone else get on here. So okay, thank you. So I'm not sure if people are going to need any more help, but we'll keep watching for that. So so it sounds like we're good with the ID number. Okay, we'll keep watching. Hopefully everyone can get on there. I guess then I shouldn't be giving the link. I should be giving the ID number. Okay, I didn't have any, I haven't had these problems. A lot of new problems happening in just the first 2 days of this semester. Yes. Okay, but we'll keep going. Okay. So no questions about the textbooks. The only other thing I can think of is that I did have one person contact me about getting an earlier edition of the books. And especially for the main textbook, this one, if you get an earlier edition, you're just going to have to be very careful in the pages, the page numbers, because, you know, when they republish or publish a new edition, they move things around. They may add something which changes page numbers. She had information about infants and toddlers with special needs all together in one section, and now she moved them around to different chapters. So when I give you your questions for the reading assignments, you're just going to need to make sure that you're reading the correct information for that particular reading reflection. So I can try to support you and help you with finding the correct pages, but you just would need to be careful about that. Was there a question? I heard a little bit of a noise, so I wasn't sure. Okay, so the last part here on the homepage is about getting started. And what you're going to get started with is the first module that has been published. And we're going to look at that a little closer tonight and see if you have any questions about it so far. So I will be publishing a module every week for you to work on, and I will be publishing the next module each Friday. I cannot promise you exactly what time they will be published, since I have 5 different classes that I'll be publishing. So for sure, once you get up Saturday morning, it will be there. That I can promise you. But for sure, I'll be working on them on Fridays, and for sure when you look on Saturday. And I'd like to recommend to students to look at the module on Saturday or Sunday, or at least by Monday, just so you see what's there, even though you may not be able to work on it at the beginning of the. I think maybe someone's not muted. Let's see. Can everyone make sure that they're muted? I think there's someone, maybe it's a iPhone, but there's no name. So if you could just check to see if you're muted. Let me see, mute. Okay, I think we're good now. Thank you. All right, so yes, like I was saying, you'll be able to start working on a next module Saturdays. You have till the following Sunday to turn assignments in. Some assignments will be introduced in a module, and you'll have more than just 1 week to complete them. It's going to depend on what it is. Okay. All right, so that's the home page, and I'm going to continue going down this list, and emphasize parts of Canvas that we'll be using for this class. So we're going to go into announcements real quick. And here I will place information that may have something to do with the class, or it may have something to do with something happening on campus or in the early childhood education field. So I just received this job announcement from a past student, and she asked if I could share it with students. So it's here for you to look at, see if you're interested, and if you are looking for a job, this is where you might look at this particular job announcement. But not to say that there will be announcements every week, but I would just check here each week real quick to see if there's anything new. Okay, next is the syllabus. Okay, so I'm going to open it up. I have it here in Word and as a PDF in case you prefer PDFs. I'm going to open it up. Okay. So hopefully you've had a chance to look it over. I don't know if you have if any particular questions came up for you when you were going through the syllabus, but we'll take a little bit of time right now to see what's involved in this class for this semester. Some of it will be repeated from what you just saw on the homepage, including my office hours. Course description we already saw. And then here are the student learning outcomes. And I won't read them to you. These are what we're going to be learning about and also applying. So application of this information will hopefully be happening this semester. We've already talked about textbooks. And you'll notice that here we've got 3 listed. The third one is not textbook, but it's the ERDP. And it's not something you have to buy or purchase. It is available online. So you will be going to be looking at ERDPs during the semester. And we'll talk more about that. And I will also spend some time in one particular module where we will learn more about DRDPs. You may have already touched on them or learned about them, depending on what other courses you have completed in our department. If you completed like 139, that's a course where you spend a lot of time on DRDPs. But there are other courses that also hopefully are helping students become familiar with them, because once you start working in the field, especially for state preschools and federally funded programs like Head Start, Early Head Start, teachers are using these as an assessment tool. Okay. Before I start talking about the calendar, any questions yet? All right, so far so good, I guess.
Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button.
Oh,
I took 110 with you last spring. Are your because you used to do packets, are your assignments still like that?
There will be PowerPoint, there will be the PowerPoint notes.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I
But
meant.
we're
Sorry.
not doing, we're not doing well, yeah, so there's some similarities, but some
Okay.
differences.
Okay,
Yeah.
just wanted to double check on that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so this is the calendar. We have the week. Again, because we don't have a certain meeting day, like we don't meet on Mondays. So this is the week of the module and the topic, the book, the reading that I would like you to be doing. And then the assignment due dates are here in this last column. Okay. We do have spring break during this semester. And so it's right here. So it starts on 3/14 and it lasts for a week. So you will not have a module for that week. The idea is that you're supposed to have a break, right? And that will help us with the drive to continue with the rest of the semester. Okay. Okay, so hopefully this calendar and the way it's set up makes sense to you. If you have any questions or you're not sure what something means on here, please just let me know. Okay, and then we have some information on page 4 about grading and points. And I have the SLOs, the student learning outcomes here again, because it's showing which assignments are related to which SLOs. And it also gives you some information about the points for each of the assignments. And we'll be talking about these assignments as we continue down the syllabus. Here's the grading. And regarding attendance and participation, those points are related to you completing the modules. So those points will not be added to Canvas until the end of the semester. So each week when you have something to complete in a module, I will be checking that you completed the module on a spreadsheet. And then by the end of the semester, you know, because there's 18 weeks, there's 18 modules, and that's how you would receive those points at the end. So you do want to make sure that you are participating in the modules, because if there's several modules in a row that you do not submit any work, I am going to be checking on you. I'll hopefully send you an email and make sure that you're doing okay. You know, we've been through a rough time with COVID, and it's continuing, right? So I hope everyone will stay healthy and safe throughout the semester. If something's going on with you, and you're able to contact me and let me know, you know, I can give you extensions on due dates, because there's so much, right, that's happening to each person. And even though you may not be the one that's ill, I know that you know, it can also be family or friends that you're trying to help and support. So just try to just let me know if that's possible. I can work with you. Okay. We've already talked about late assignments, and the next thing I do want to emphasize is this last bullet on this page 5, and it does ask you not to submit dot pages files. I'm not sure why, but my computer will not open that kind of file. And when something gives me a hard time, I always check with other faculty. I do have a friend that knows a lot about IT. And so I check with everyone that I know, and what I've heard is that everybody has trouble opening up dot pages files. And I'm not sure why, but I'm just asking that you not submit your homework, your assignments with that kind of file. And if you do, I will just send you, a message back saying, oh, I can't open this up. Please send it either in a Word document or a PDF. There might be some other files, but this particular one, my computer does not like, and my laptop doesn't like. Okay, and this is just a list of what we're going to be using in Canvas, and basically I'm going over these with you tonight. So I won't bore you through talking about them right now, but that's something you can go back to. And then on the bottom of page 6 here are some important notes and resources for students. So the first one has to do with what's called SAS, Student Accessibility Services. And this is if you have some struggles with learning, that you may need some accommodations, and you would just be contacting SAS, and they would provide you with a counselor that can help set up the paperwork for you to get those accommodations. And then they would notify me. So that's just important information for everyone to know. And then the next bullet point has to do with me being a mandated reporter of suspected child abuse. And under what's called Title IX, I'm also a mandated reporter if an adult is telling me that they're experiencing, and it's listed here, any of these: sexual harassment, sexual abuse, or sexual violence. So if you share with me, whether it's verbally or you write it even in a paper that you turn in, I am required to share that information with the college. It's called the care team. And the idea is that supportive services would then be offered to the student. So we have been asked to make sure that we communicate this with all of our students. All right, and a couple more on the next page. One is called C's, and this is for students that may be pregnant this semester. They also have special rights, and if you need some accommodations, you would also make an appointment with this particular department on campus. And again, if you need extra time for assignments, or you need to miss and make up work, we can work that out together. Okay, and then it's really important for everyone to know that college has a lot of resources available to students, including food resources, hygiene kits, housing support, other types of resources. And even if you're having issues or don't have a laptop or Wi-Fi, there is a loan program through the college, and it's all on this website. So I put the link there, and hopefully that will open for you easily, and you can see all those resources. If you need any help with any of these, I also can help you with getting the information. Okay. So let me stop for a moment and just check in with you to see if anything that I've talked about so far, you have questions about.
Professor, I have a quick question.
Yes, Patty?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
For some of the maybe assignments, if we have an urgent question. Would you be available out of office hours for a quick, to answer a quick question? Maybe there's something regarding an assignment that we need to know right away. How would you like to handle that? Or is it only on the dates that you have assigned for office hours?
No, no, I can be available other times and other days. So yeah, I have found Pronto, the Pronto app to work really well for people, which is, something you're downloading to your cell phone. And that has worked really well for me and I believe students over the last 2 years. So Pronto would be a way to ask a question. But sometimes, in writing, right? In writing questions and answering questions in written format sometimes can be confusing. And it can be helpful to actually talk to the other person, right? Because then you can clarify right away. So if Pronto doesn't work, on Pronto, we can also go live and you can see me and I can see you. It's a little bit tricky, but we can do that. Or the other possibility is you email me. So you can use my email address and send me a message. Or you can, you can request a different time besides my office hours, if those don't work for you. Or it's the weekend and you need to talk to me on the weekend. You can't wait till, because you're trying to get something done. We can try to figure something out.
Okay.
So obviously, we are not on campus doing our office hours because of COVID. And so we have to find these other ways to make that happen. But I'll work with you. You just need to let me know.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Anyone else have a question? Okay, then I'm going to talk a little bit. These last 2 pages, 7 and 8, just have an outline of the assignments, and we'll be talking more about them as we go along and get started in them. But I've already talked about attendance and participation, which relates to completing the modules. There will be PowerPoints that you will look at, and some of you are used to this, as Catherine's question. So I have PowerPoint notes that you will be completing. As you look at the PowerPoint that I have available in the module. So some of it is just filling in. Sometimes there will be some reflection questions to answer within the PowerPoint notes. There also might be some video clips for you to watch and respond to on the PowerPoint notes. Okay, then number 3 is what I would consider the main project, the main assignment for this class. And it has some different layers to it. But what's going to be happening is that you're going to be completing what is called a case study. And if you remember, if you took CD 110, you might have studied some of the different ways that researchers do research, right? And one of them is called a case study. And what that means is that you spend a long time getting to know about one child. So you're going to spend the semester learning about one child, but we're going to learn about that child and look at all the different developmental areas, or what is called domains, regarding this one child. Okay. And so here it tells you a little bit more. It says you're going to receive an outline listing all the questions for the case study. But when you look at that outline, don't freak out. Okay. Don't become anxious about it. Stay calm, take a breath, because there's a lot of questions on the case study. But we're going to break it up into smaller amounts depending on the developmental area. And they'll be due on different dates. So for a moment now, I'm going to go back. I don't want to make anybody busy. Might not want to look at your screen right now, but I'm going to scroll back up to the calendar so I can show you what I mean. So if we look at module 6 here, 214 to 218, under the due date assignments, it says case study 1 and 2 are due. Okay, so from the list of questions that I'm going to give you, these are the first 2 sections of questions that you're going to be submitting. Okay, so you might be thinking, what child? Where's the child? What are we doing, right? And so you do need to be thinking of a child, but you're not actually going to be required to observe this child. Instead, because of COVID, and I can't have you going into schools, I can't even ask you to go into someone else's house right now, unless you have a child in your home who is under 3 years old. You could do your case study on that child if they live with you. Okay. Otherwise, it needs to be a child that you could talk to the parents, because the parents are going to be the one answering these questions that I'm talking about and give you the answers. Okay. And you might not even actually see the parent, again, because of COVID, but you will find another way to communicate with them, whether it's through email, whether it's just talking on the phone, or other ways you might come up with to get the answers. But you're not going to start off by giving them all the questions, because then you're going to overwhelm the parents. So we're going to break it up into smaller units of questions, and then you'll be sharing the questions with the parents, get their answers back, and then turn them in along the way. So you can see as we continue down, see with module 8, you've got case study 3 due, right? And then as we continue down, here's case study 4, case study 5. So again, this is broken up and spread out over the semester. The other thing that we want to remember is that we don't want to give the parents all the questions and have them answer all of them at the beginning of the semester, because these children under 3, right, are always changing. There's always growth and development happening. And so we also want to be hearing about that as we go through the semester. So on the next page of the calendar, you'll see the rest of the case study sections due dates. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Well, before I leave this, let me go back to module 6 for a moment and notice where it says parent signature page. So I'm going to give you a form that I'm going to ask you to have the parent sign stating that they're willing to answer the questions for the case study. And again, it could get signed electronically. Whatever way you can get the signature will work. It might even just be through an email that they say, yes, you can do the case study with our family. Okay, so the idea here is that you're getting to know this child very well through the parents. Unfortunately, I cannot ask you to go observe the child, which is what you would be doing if you were an infant toddler teacher, right? In the classroom, you would be talking to the parent and you would be observing the child and getting to know the child both ways. Okay, I'm moving back down to the description of assignments. Okay, so we were just looking at the calendar of the due dates for this case study. Again, this case study should be on a child between birth and 3. So not a 4-year-old, not a 5-year-old, a child under 3. So 2, 2.5 would work, but stay under 3, okay? If you know a family with a newborn, so we're talking about like under 6 weeks old, when you give them some of these questions, they would probably be saying that hasn't happened yet in the different developmental areas. So if that's true for who you're thinking about, you I might ask you to do a little bit. We'll have to come up with some other things you can do, like maybe the parent can send you some short video clips of the baby and you can write some short descriptions of what you're observing. Samantha, did you have a question? Or did someone have a question? I heard someone out there. No? Anyone else have a question about the case study so far?
I do, Professor.
Okay.
So just to clarify, we select the parents, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Because you're going to be talking to the parent in some, communicating with the parent in some format. And so you just need to think of a parent with a child that's under 3 years old. And if you have a couple weeks to figure this out. So if you can't think of anyone, no relative, no friend, no coworker, no nobody, then you should be letting me know. Because in the past, I've also asked the members of our class if there's any parents in the class that would be willing to be asked these questions by another student. So you'll just be letting me know along the way. Any other questions so far? Okay, so it does say on here there will be questions you will need to ask the parents, again, through some phone calls, email, Zoom, face-to-face if the child lives in your home. Again, I'm open to different ways that you might gather the information from the parent, whatever works for the parent and for you. You will submit questions with answers. So under each question, you're going to put the parent's answer. And so it's going to be typed, right? And then you'll be submitting them to Canvas. I also already mentioned the parent signature form. You'll see that form coming up in one of the modules. And then letter D here.
My phones won't connect for some reason.
So we can hear someone's
Yeah,
conversation.
like
Oh,
my thing is when I tried to use a link, it didn't let me earlier.
who is that? Is someone speaking to the group, or they're just unmuted and don't know it yet? Okay, I think we're good. All right, so there's going to be what's called a weekly reflection sheet. So when you submit your case study with the questions and the answers, you're also going to go into a discussion post within the module when it's due. And you're going to tell the rest of the class in a discussion post a couple things that you learned from those questions and answers. So you're going to share that with everyone in our class in a discussion post. And then everyone else will be also sharing what they learned. So you'll be going back and looking at what everyone has shared. And then in this reflection sheet here, you're going to tell me what you learned about other babies. Okay, so your case study is about one baby, but think about it. If there's 36 of us in this class, there's going to be information about 36 different babies, right? And one thing we will talk about in this class is that we're going to sometimes see similarities between babies in the different areas of development. But we're also going to see and learn that there are individual differences between babies. So that's why I'm saying this project, this big assignment, is layered. So there's the learning about that one baby, and then there's the learning about other babies that is going to happen hopefully in this project. Okay. I hope you'll be pleased to know that this weekly reflection sheet is going to be turned in on the last day of the semester, or the last week of the semester, and that will be your final. Let me say that again. That will be your final. So there will be no final exam. Instead, this will be what you will turn in, showing me what you have learned about babies, infants, and toddlers. Okay, don't worry. I will remind you of that as we go along. So this is something I'm going to have you filling out along the way. So by the end of the semester, it will all be filled in, and all you'll have to do that last week of the semester when you're so tired, especially if you're taking more than one class, and submit it on Canvas. Okay, I just want to take a moment again. I want to give you a moment to unmute and ask any questions you might have about the case study.
Will you be checking our progress on the reflection sheet, or is it just all on our own?
Yeah, that will be all on your own, but I will be reminding you to do so.
Okay.
To do it. In fact, the sheet will be part of the discussion post, reminding you to fill that part in. And it will make your life much easier if you do it along the way than if you wait till the end. I will leave those discussion posts open for the whole semester, so that you can always go back to them in case you don't do it within that module, but I just don't recommend it. I think it's gonna, for at least for me and the kind of student I am, I like to get it done as I go.
Okay, and I just wanted to just quick mention, my name's Caitlin, not Catherine.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's
Oh,
okay.
okay. I just see the K and then I just,
No, it's okay.
my brain, sorry, Caitlin.
Okay.
It's so obvious once you pointed out to me, so sorry. No, I'm glad you said something, Caitlin. Okay. All right, I got it now. Okay. So the next number 4 on here is called infant toddler persona activities. So if you already took 110, no matter which instructor you had, you probably did a persona child project where you created a pretend child and it developed from birth to adolescence. Okay, so you might say, Susan, I already did this. Why are you having me do it again? Okay, but just know that it's going to be different, even though I'm using the same word, persona. We're just looking at the first 3 years, not all the way to the adolescent. And we won't be doing the same things that we did in 110 around that project. Okay, so for now, you just need to trust me and see what we do with that. Okay, but it is a way to apply what we're learning about infant toddler development and also to think about individual differences that I already spoke about, and also cultural differences, how the family influences the development of a child during the first 3 years of their life. So I have to say that some students like the more creative kinds of projects, and then I also sometimes come across students that don't like to have to draw or create. But I do try to mix it up a bit because just like children, we all learn in different ways. So hopefully you'll enjoy that part. Okay, number 5 has to do with reading reflections. And as I already stated, I'll be having you read parts of the textbook. And the textbook does have chapters that focus on development. And so this class 151 will focus on those chapters, whereas 152 will focus on the other chapters that have to do more with the curriculum, the setting up of the environment, the diapering, the feeding, all those kinds of things that caregivers do in the classroom with very young children. All right, and then number 6 is just a reminder of what I already said about the final, and that the final will be your weekly reflection sheet that you'll turn in at the end. Okay, so that is the syllabus. And you might say, well, Susan, there's not enough information about each of these, but you will be receiving more information about each of these assignments that are listed on these 2 pages. Okay, let me go back to the top and just ask again any questions before I close up the syllabus. Let me go back to Canvas. Okay, so I'm going to close up the syllabus. And here we are back to Canvas, the world of Canvas. All right, so now we're going to go into modules, which is right after the syllabus, over here on the left-hand side. So as I already stated, there are 18 modules. The first one has been published and been available to you since Monday morning, I believe. And I just want to go through it and then see if you have any questions about modules in general. But each module will begin with a directions page. So let's open it up. And I try to set up the direction pages in a similar format so that you get used to that format. Starting with just an introduction to what we're going to be covering in this particular module. And then a video message from me. Usually they'll be fairly short, but I want to highly recommend that you use the modules, that you go through the modules step by step to do the assignments and activities, because I know that there are different ways that students figure out they can get to things, they can get to assignments without going into the module. But what I have found is if you just go find the assignment, you're not getting information that will help you complete the assignment. So again, go through the module step by step, and then I think that will help you with making sense of what I'm asking you to do. So there's a short video. This is Sarah here. You'll hear more about Sarah as we go along. And then these are what I call the steps for the week. So I'm asking you to go to a link about Canvas if you need more information. If you feel very comfortable with Canvas, you may not need this. To read the syllabus carefully, to attend this orientation, to purchase the books. And I don't know if anyone has tried to purchase the books yet, or if anyone's having difficulty finding the books. But if so, you know, let me know. There it says to complete a discussion post, start learning about each other, get to know each other a little bit, and then to download Pronto. Okay, so once you go through the directions page, then you just come down to this button here where it says next, and then click on it. It's going to take you to the next page. And this one is about netiquette. So if you've had me before, you've seen this before, because I have this in all my classes, and you might say, do I have to do this again? And yes, I am asking you to do it again, just because we need to keep in mind how we communicate with each other in our online courses. So if you haven't seen this yet, or you haven't had another class with me online, there is a video that you're going to watch. And then you're going to answer a question in the reply box down below. So these are some resources I used to make my video. And then the question. The question is up here before video, and then I have it again down here. So you just go into the reply box and answer the question. So there's already some answers. Yes, there are. Wonderful. Wow, a lot of answers. Okay, great. And then you won't see all those answers until you put your answer in. Okay, and then you'll click next. Okay, and then this is the, whoops. This is the one, this is a discussion post where you're going to share a little bit about yourself. There is a 3-minute video where I talk about the experiences that I've had with infants and toddlers, and a little bit about my background and how I ended up teaching a class on infants and toddlers. And actually, I started teaching at a community college. My very first class that I taught was about infants and toddlers. And it was never in my plan, in my career goal, to teach at a community college, but it sort of evolved on its own. And here I am 30 years later at a community college still. So never know what might happen in your career. Yes. So it's good to have a plan. I always tell people it's good to have a plan. It's good to have goals. But sometimes things come across your path that might even change your path a bit in what you're planning to do. So again, a short video, hear a little bit about my experiences, and then it's asking you to share with the rest of the class your name, why you decided to enroll in this class. I am curious. I will be reading all of these because I'm always curious about why did they decide to learn more about infants and toddlers. I don't necessarily think that everyone would be the best infant toddler caregiver. So you really need to have a love of wanting to work with infants and toddlers. It's true about working with children in general. You need to have a spark or a desire, a real interest in working with children, but especially when you want to work with infants and toddlers. So I'm curious to hear about that. And then there's, so there's 4 different things that you're going to answer. And let's see, yeah, we already have students who have contributed to this discussion post. So I'm hoping once you have entered yours, you'll be able to see everyone's answers. And I would also recommend that you go back and look later, because if you're one of the first to share, if you don't go back, you're going to miss learning about the other students in this class. So I hope you will go back and look at that. Okay, then you're going to click next. And this is the last thing you're going to be doing, which is practice using Pronto. And again, you're just going to download the app and get on to Pronto and say hello to us, just to get us started. Okay. And again, you can either look at Pronto through your cell phone. If you would like a bigger screen, you can go onto your computer and access Pronto here on Canvas too. And again, I will do my best throughout the semester to keep looking and checking and seeing if anyone's having a question, and check in with you and see how you're doing through Pronto. Okay. So that's the end of module 1. And so this Friday, I will be working on publishing module 2 for you. And again, by Saturday, you'll be able to see module 2 and start working on that module this weekend, if that works with your schedule. Okay, so that's modules. Next one is assignments. So when you click on here, it will list the assignments that have been published within the modules. So if I click on this right now, it would show my page that has all the assignments, but your page will only show what's been published so far. Okay. And then grades is an important link for you to go to, and you want to keep checking on your points and on your overall grade, because Canvas will be calculating your grade as you go along. Okay. And it's also a good way to keep track of if you haven't turned something in, and there's still that 2-week period after the due date. You can go in and check on what's missing. Okay, so before I stop sharing Canvas, I think I've gone over everything that I want to cover on Canvas. Is there any questions or anything you want me to go back to before I stop the share of this page? Okay. Okay, so we're back to our view of our Zoom. And so I have covered Canvas and how we're going to be using Canvas for this class, and the syllabus, but I am willing to stay here. It's time I have a 6:20, so there's some time left, and so I'm gonna hang out here, and if you have any questions or want to talk about anything I've covered or some other topic, I'll be hanging out here with you. So first, any general questions that anyone wants to ask before we end the Zoom? Remember, if you don't want to ask the question, you can also type it in the chat box. Okay, I'm going to stop recording.